Why don't you tell viewers a little bit about who you are, why you're running, and any your connections to San Diego that you want to talk about?
Yeah. So I'm a Navy combat veteran, bartender these days, and have, lived all sorts of lives. Been in the corporate world, sales world, but the two kind of pillars I would say are Navy and bartending. And I used to deploy out of Coronado on the U.S. Abraham Lincoln for my deployments back in 2005 and 2008 out of Coronado there in San Diego. The reason that I'm running for Congress is, to put it frankly, that I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off that we're sitting here on Veterans Day. And this year we've watched the armed forces deployed to U.S. cities, to intimidate U.S. citizens. That made me angry. That was a red line for me and what pushed me to decide to run. But on top of that, if that was not enough, the cost of healthcare is doubling, cost of groceries through the roof, housing through the roof for all Californians. And what is Darrell Issa doing in Congress? He's doing nothing. He's fighting to make these things more expensive, and he's fighting to save money for the top 1%. And why is that? Well, if you look at Congress, less than 2% come from a working class background. And there's over 60% of working adults do come from a working class background. They're not being represented. I think it's time to change that. I think we get better representation. That's why I'm running.
So let's walk through some of your ideology, things that you would support, things along those lines. Just broadly speaking, if we're looking to describe you as part of the Democratic Party, do you consider yourself more of a progressive candidate for Congress? Are you more on the moderate side? Do you not like to be defined by a label? If we were to look at you in a snapshot and someone wanted to get more information about the way that you would vote,
Yeah.
what would you say?
For me, it's whatever makes things more affordable for the working class and the middle class. I don't care what you call me. My focus is on making life more affordable, making opportunities more available, pushing the American dream that anything's possible, that your life can be better tomorrow, that your children's lives are going to even be better than that. That's how it used to be, but it doesn't seem to be going that way now. It seems to be going down. So my ideology is common sense, practical laws that improves people's quality of life. That's it.
So let's talk about a couple of San Diego issues. And the one that you're hitting on is the one that when we do polling, we kind of see the most: affordability, cost of living. What kind of things would you be pushing for in Congress to try to make things more affordable for San Diegans, whether that's anything from cost of groceries to the housing market?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things, but first and foremost, a tax cut for the middle class. We're doing tax cuts for those ultra wealthy. We need to do tax cuts for the middle class. We need to put money back in people's pockets. That's one of the first things that I would push for. On top of that, I would push for, in regards to housing, make it easier to build. Make incentives towards building middle class homes, multifamily homes. Make it, less permits, more materials, create opportunities. I think that will bring down, right off the bat, cost of housing, putting money right in people's pockets right off the bat. It's what people are looking for. Those are things that I would push for immediately. Also, I mean, and obviously, in my mind, what I would fight with every breath in my body is affordable health care. This shouldn't even be a debate. It should be a promise to every American. Affordable health care is what everyone in this country deserves. And it's something we can do.
Another bit, what we're finding is a lot of local issues to us are also national issues, one being the border and immigration. So I kind of want to talk to you about the topic in general, even though I think it's two different lanes. The border, since Trump has been in office, seems to be pretty shut down now, pretty closed. the number of crossings have greatly gone down. Seem to be a pretty big point, in the 2024 election. And then another part of it is people that are in the country without documentation, where we've seen ICE raids, where people, the administration may claim that they're going for the worst of the worst first, but even just based on the numbers, we're seeing people whose only crime is that they're here without documentation, also being deported. So, kind of a two-part question. What has been your thoughts on their position of kind of closing down the border in the manner that they've had, and then the operations that have taken place here in San Diego and elsewhere that have the immigration operations that seem to be sweeping up a lot of people?
Yeah, I think a secure border is a good thing. I think most Americans want a secure border. That's a common sense thing in my mind. What isn't common sense is sending mass government agents with no identification into homes, terrifying neighborhoods, raiding people, using our government as a force of intimidation instead of a rule of law. You don't enforce the law by breaking the law. And that's what this administration is doing, in my opinion. And I would push back against that. There are orderly ways of doing things, and this administration is not doing that.
Another issue that is local to us, but a national issue that's kind of been in the spotlight in the first year here with Trump is the sewage issue that we're dealing with in Tijuana.
I missed the first word you said. I'm sorry.
The Tijuana sewage issue that we have here in Imperial Beach. Paloma Aguirre was the mayor at the time. She's a supervisor now, but she's been pushing for a Superfund delegation. She'd like it to be declared a national emergency. Our local Congress members, the ones that in office now, have been working to try to get more of an awareness on it. What is your overall position on the IB sewage issue? Should it be a Superfund designation? Should it be an emergency? What's your perspective?
Yeah, to be quite frank, my perspective would be that I need to speak to the people of the community to hear what they would want. I would need to go out and speak more with them to see everybody who would be affected by that. And after doing that, I would make an assessment on what would be the right way to move forward. That would be the best, my best way of approaching a problem like that.
Okay. Let's talk about Congressman Issa. He's been in Congress for a long time. What are some of the things that you feel like he's failing on? What are some of the things that you feel like he's not stepping up to the plate on? What are your big issues with him?
I mean, we're in a government shutdown right now. The Republican Party is in control of all three branches, and their focus isn't on making affordable health care. Their focus isn't making on housing affordable. Their focus is on giving tax cuts to the 1%. Their focus is on deconstructing government and making it more inefficient, making lives harder for the average, everyday working people. That's his focus. And I disagree with that. And I think that's a misuse of the public's interest.
And just on Issa, what was your kind of thought process about how this whole kind of redistricting situation happened? Now, I mean, this district, Palm Springs area was not an area that Issa would have, this district represented before.
Yeah.
Thoughts on how the whole process went?
Well, I'm super happy. Hell yeah. I'm very glad that Prop 50 passed. That was a win for Californians and a win for America. They made their voice heard. The key to me is getting people like Issa out of office. People who have been in office for 25 years, more than half my life. And what does he use that privilege to do? He hasn't used it to represent the people. He hasn't used that to improve people's lives. He's used it to increase his wealth. He's used it to increase the wealth of his donors. That's the kind of Congress I want to see an end to. And I think we put an end to that by taking people like myself who've worked double shifts, who, know what it's like to stand in line, who know what it's like to fight for a fair shot. And we put them in Congress. We put working class people there who can fight for working class issues.
Last kind of policy-based issue, and then I'll open the floor to you to make sure that you have everything that you'd like to say. Obviously, veterans and the military is a subject that'll hit close to home for you. What do you kind of think of the major challenges that maybe members of our military and our veterans face today? Are there reforms to the VA that you feel like would be necessary? What kind of things would you push for in Congress?
Yeah, I depend on the VA for my health care, and I have for many years. And there's a difference in each administration. And this administration currently has been very difficult because of the layoffs by Doge, the layoffs by the Trump administration. I was supposed to get an ultrasound, and something that would have taken a week or two had turned into a 6-month nightmare. To schedule an appointment, you have to call a scheduler to make an appointment for another scheduler to call you, and you have to sit by your phone. And if you don't get that phone call, then you have to call. I mean, it's a bureaucratic nightmare. It is not efficient, and veterans are not getting good health care. Every single veteran knows this to be a problem. And this is something I would fight against. This is something that has been going on, and it needs to end. And you have this particular administration also making it more difficult for veterans when you look at disability benefits. And you've seen some of the materials that 2025 has put out that threaten that. This country has a habit of putting troops in harm's way and asking them to serve their country. And then when it comes time to pay that bill, they don't want to pay that bill. In Congress, I will assure that bill's paid. I will ensure that our veterans are taken care of.
Okay. I will open the floor to you. If I thought you answered everything thoroughly, but if there's any other message you want to get out, I just wanted to open the floor to you for anything else. Or if you think you covered it, then that's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to I'll repeat kind of the same thing I've been saying, but my entire adult life, the approval rating of Congress has been abysmal. It has been low. And I think it's one of the lowest it's ever been right now. And when I look at that, I ask why. It's because a lot of people in Congress aren't there to represent people. They're there to represent their own interest. And when you have 50 to 60% of the population only having 2% representation in Congress, that's crazy to me. That's why we're not getting laws passed that incentivize the many. We're only getting laws passed that incentivize the few. That's why I'm running, to change that, to be a voice for the many.